Hello, my name is Jen and welcome to the book Refuge. Today we're doing a book review and book discussion slash talk slash there'll be some spoilers for this, but I'll warn you when it happens, of The Savior's Champion by Jenna Moreci. Okay, I want to get right into this because I have a lot of things to say and I want to keep this video reasonable, like I always do. Anyway, so the first thing I'll do is I'll give you a little bit of setup here, just of the world and then who kind of our main characters are. And then I'll go into spoilers and there'll be a warning, as well as down below I'll put when the spoilers start so that you know when to cut out if you don't want to, because this is still pretty new. It's only been out for about a month, so I totally understand if you haven't got to read it yet. But yeah, so The Savior's Champion is an adult dark fantasy. It has a really cool premise. So a little bit of details to get into for this. So the setup for The Savior's Champion is there's this land where every generation there is a savior born, and it's always a woman, and the next savior, like, it's not like one of those where the next savior is born to just an unsuspecting couple and they like wait for her to show herself. No, like the next savior is always born from the current savior. Like she births the next one. So they're always like related to each other. And in this land, when the savior comes of age, there is a competition to see who will become her mate, who will become the next king, basically, who will marry her. And this competition is called the Sovereign's Tournament. Sorry, it's hard for me to pronounce these things without like fumbling over my words. So the father of the current savior is the sovereign, and he holds this competition to basically see who's going to be his replacement, which awkward, but that's how it's set up. 18 to however many years, like however long it takes for the savior to have another child, and then once she comes of age, they have this competition. And the setup of the competition, there are 20 young men who come from different walks of life. Some of them are just commoners, some of them are lords, some of them are like warriors from the army, like people from all over. All the men in the land can basically enter. Like, it's kind of unsure if it's like it's part raffle, part they pick you, because you have to like qualify to get into it. Like you have to be strong, and you have to like have good parts, not have any blemishes. Like there are qualifications, but then they pick 20 men and they enter this competition. So one of the young men who ends up in this competition is Tobias Kaya, and he is an artist in his heart, but in trade he is a laborer, and he works in the fields supporting his family. He had trained to be an artist under one of the most famous artists in the land, but he had to give up his apprenticeship because his twin sister got hurt and she is paralyzed from the waist down, and he needs to work and have consistent income to provide for her and his mother. I don't remember what happened to his father. I'm sorry, but there's no father, just a mother and a sister. And so when a man is picked to be in this competition, a sum of money is given to his family in recompense, because he's probably going to die. Unless he wins, he's probably going to die. So Tobias feels that he has no other choice, because the medicine his sister needs is really expensive. And so he's basically resigned that he's going to die, but he's going to do it for his mother and sister so that they're taken care of. So you already have some love for Toby. He's so great. I'll get into that later. So yeah, so the stakes are these 20 men go in. There's 30 days, different competitions every couple days, as well as there's this freaky labyrinth, which has all these scary traps in it. It reminds me, it's funny. It reminds me a little bit of the maze at the end of Goblet of Fire, but like a lot scarier because you're not making it out alive. So that's kind of the basic setup of this story. Tobias is competing, but he doesn't really care whether he cares if he lives, but he's not really in this to win the savior. Like, he doesn't care to be the next sovereign. He doesn't care if he wins. He wants his family to be taken care of, and he wants to survive if he can. But he's not in this for love. He's not in this for the romance of it. He just wants to live. And he's given pretty low odds to win, you know, a little bit of a Katniss situation of like, that guy's poor. He's never trained. He doesn't have any skills except painting. And what good is painting gonna do you in the labyrinth? Like, what is it? Okay, so now I'm gonna go into some of the characters. I kind of talked about Toby already. I'm gonna name a couple other people. This still isn't spoilers yet, I'll warn you. So yeah, so we have Tobias is our main character. This is told from his point of view. And yeah, he's awesome. That's all I'm gonna say right now. Then we have some other characters to be mentioned. I'm not going to mention all of them right now, but the other 19 men that he goes in with, there's something really like dehumanizing about the competition in that once you enter it, they give you a laurel, or they give you like a competition name. So they like strip you of your identity and give you one that they've made. And everybody fits into these 4 categories is what they put them in. They put them in the lords, the savants, the beasts, and the stalwarts, which I don't know. Handy dandily, Jenna put them on the back of the cover. But then, yeah, they give you this laurel, which Tobias's is the artist. They're so clever. But then there's like, for the beasts, there's like the giant, the dragon, the lion. Like, they give them these names so that in competition they can call them that, and it's kind of taken their humanity away. But there's some interesting characters in there, which I'll bring up in spoiler review. But these men he's in the competition with, some of them are friendly to him and they're willing to work together to a certain point. Again, a little like the Hunger Games, but I really don't like want to make that comparison too much. I just feel like it's a good comparison because a lot of people have read that book, so you get that idea. But definitely like, definitely different. But that's the best comparison I can make just because you probably read that one. And then some of the people are just plain evil, and they are excited that there's these people that they can kill and not get in trouble for it. So there's that aspect of it, which is awful. Then there are a couple people, their job is to like do different things for the men, because the men are put in this labyrinth, but then like they like fight for the day, and then who's ever left at the end of the day, they have a safe place to like sleep and eat and, you know, revelry or whatever. And they have these people who will dress them and primp them, and that's one main woman who is awesome. Her name is Delphi, and she is this really awesome lady who like, she'll like primp them and like oil them down so they look nice for everybody. Yeah, super fun. And then there's this girl named Layla, who she's a healer, and at the end of each day, she'll come down and like, if you didn't die, but you're just hurt, she'll come through and like heal people and give them potions and just help them be ready for the next day. And Layla is my favorite because she is so feisty. She's such a kick-ass woman. She thinks the competition is bogus, and she refuses to call the men by their laurel names. Like, she calls them their name. So she calls him Tobias, and Tobias is like, why? Like, you know, they have a really like cantankerous thing in the beginning, until she realizes that like he's not one of the people who just wants to kill people for fun. But she thinks the competition is horrible, and like, why would you want to, like, why would the kingdom want to find their next king by having someone kill a bunch of people and then let's make him the king? Like, that doesn't seem right to her, and she just doesn't agree with it. So, but yeah, Layla is awesome. And then of course there's the sovereign himself, who appears at different points. He's the current sovereign, and this is his competition, and so he's trying to pick his replacement and who will marry his daughter. And then there is the savior, and she is a really like frustrating character in the beginning because you never get to see her. Like, these men are fighting for her, and for the first, like, I don't know how many pages, you never even get to meet her. And for me, I was like, well, what are we even fighting for? You know, it reminded me of Mulan, of like, is there a girl worth fighting for? And I'm like, who is she? Is she even worth it? Like, should they say she's the savior, but what does that mean? So yeah. So, all right. I hope that was enough, like, tidbits of it. Oh, I'll tell you what my rating is. I gave this a 4.75 stars. I really wanted to give it 5, but there was just a tiny thing that bothered me, and I can tell you that in the non-spoiler part, because it doesn't like pertain to like any secrets revealed. So like my like main critique of this was there is a lot of crass language, specifically the use of the C word, and it really bothered me. However, I know the reasons for this. Like, it's a bunch of men living together underground, and they're crass and they say things, and that's fine. But it just got a little bit much for me, and it would actually like throw me out of the book sometimes when certain characters would say it, because I expected it from some of the people, but when like the king like uses that language, I'm just like, ooh. So that is like my only critique, and I just wanted to warn you because, again, though, this is an adult dark fantasy, and I had to remind myself of that when that would happen, as I was like, this isn't my place to judge this. It just made me uncomfortable, and as a reader, that's my prerogative to share with you what made me uncomfortable. But for the story and the characters and where this is going, because this is only a first novel, I'm so happy about that because I had a great setup for more things. I give it a 4.75 because I enjoyed it so much. And I read the bulk of it in one like 4-hour setting. I read like 400 pages. It was insane. It was so good. So for that, I give you, you should read this. So now I'm going to go into spoilers. I'll give you a second here. Whatever. This is so stupid. You probably have left already anyway, if you didn't want to be here. All right. So I want to go more into, like I did on my Goodreads review, I did the 3 things that I liked. I've already told you the thing I didn't like, because I wanted to say it in the non-spoiler part. That really was the only thing I didn't like. Maybe one other thing. Maybe I can think of one tiny other thing. Okay, so 3 things that I really loved. And now I'm going to go into the spoilers of it. So I loved Tobias, as I said. And now I want to say some of the things I did like about him. Tobias so doesn't want to be here. And most of the other men competing do. They want to be there for different reasons. Some of them want to do it because they actually want to marry the savior. They think that she's wonderful and that she's a goddess and they actually want to marry her. Some of them want to do it because they want to be the king, and they want glory. And like I said, some of them want to be there because they want to murder people. And one of the biggest, this is a huge spoiler. I'm serious now. I'm going to say this because it's the thing that like really kicked me into what kind of book I was reading. So Tobias, his best friend, Milo, he is kind of who gets him to sign up for it, because Milo wants to marry the savior and he wants to get out of the humdrum life he's in. And so he's ready to go for it. And Milo gets murdered immediately. Like, he's one of the first people dead. And it happened so quickly, and like I couldn't believe it. And it was just really shocking. And so in the beginning of reading this book, it kind of threw me because I was like, whoa, if we can just like kill off Milo that fast. And the other part of it is that I was actually like happy that he died, which I know I'm a horrible person, because he was going to hold Tobias back. Like, there was always going to be someone that Tobias had to protect, or that Tobias had to, look out for if Milo was still there. So it made sense why he was killed, but man, it hurt. It hurt me. It hurt me. So I would love to know what you think about it if you've read this, like what you thought when that horrible person killed Milo. So yeah, but the way like Tobias takes it and the things he does with it is so amazing to me. And like, Tobias tries to see the humanity in the people with him, even when other people don't. And he repeatedly saves people. And I heard some people say that he saves people to the detriment of himself. And I didn't really see that, because the times that he saved people, like men who, like, it was kind of like Survivor in the way of like, if you're the winner of the champion, you get a reward, which usually was getting to spend time alone with the savior. And then there was, like, if you lose, sometimes you got a disadvantage in the next competition. But the things that happened, like, I don't feel that it ever really hurt him to save people. And the times that he saved people, it really only helped him, because people then, like, some of the men then helped him back. So him being a good man was to his better. Then the next thing I want to talk about is the love story in here, which is connected to kind of a big secret. And so the more and more the love story grows, which, I don't know how to say this, because this I don't want to spoil. The more and more the love story grows, the more I was aware of where it was going. So there's a big twist at the end of the novel, like any good, fantasy. There's a really good twist at the end. And I never would have guessed it, except number one, Jenna, you lay great hints. Like, when I went back afterwards, I was like, I see what the hint was. It was great. But at the time, it was really subtle. Like, it was so well placed. I just loved it. So this was such a rewarding book, because I was surprised by what the thing was. Like, I was getting, like, I knew what it was at a certain point. Not too early on, which is good. I do not like when I can figure out what it is on page 100 when it's 500 pages. Like, I knew something was going on, and there's a lot of secrets that one of the characters is keeping. And so I'm like, there's something going on here. I know something's happening. I'm like spitting everywhere. I'm getting so excited about this. But when you actually find out, like when it flips, I was like, it was like someone like slapped me in the face, because I was like, oh my God. Yes. Like, literally, I was so happy, because there's some things going on and you're like, there's no way anyone's going to win this, because Tobias is playing this game. And if he wins, he marries the savior. And if he loses, he dies. So there's not really room for this guy to be in love with anyone else, and yeah, I'm spoiling that part of it. But the savior, she seems really stupid. And the whole time you're just like, Tobias, we love you. We don't want you married to this stupid girl who, like, misuses her power and just cares about, like, how honorable it is that all these men would die for her, when you're like, no, bitch, no. Like, this is not how you find your mate. But then again, like, it's the sovereign who chose this. So anyway, okay, I'm just rambling now. A couple more things to go through. The deaths in this, not just Milo, there's so many deaths. And I guess going into it, like, I knew it'd be brutal, because that's what people were saying about it. They're like, it was brutal, it was gritty, like, you really feel it. But for me, I guess I didn't realize that it had to be like the Hunger Games, in that it's only over when everyone else is dead. Like, I thought it was a competition where, like, you could lose the challenges and not have to die. And I don't know if that's how the tournament originally started, where, like, you'd fail out of it. Where, again, it would be like Survivor. Like, you would lose and get kicked out, and they would go down to one. But it really was, it's over when everyone else is dead. And I just wasn't expecting that. But it's gritty, and a lot of the deaths are really intense. And so, again, this is an adult novel. So that's why I'm warning you that, like, it has a lot of aspects you've maybe seen in teen fantasy, but it is not. It is dark, and it is gritty, and it was fabulous. It was what I needed, because I was ready for that next level up, because I've read a lot of, like, young adult fantasy where, like, the stakes don't feel real. Hella real here, okay? Hella real. So yeah, and then what came along is, like, the evolution of who Tobias becomes. From not wanting to be there, but thinking it was the right thing to do to actively like rebelling against the competition he's in. And the ways that he does that are amazing. He is such a good man who's willing to do things he's willing to do things. So I love that. I already talked about my dislike. The use of the C word in here was really uncomfortable for me, but it's supposed to be uncomfortable. Like, it's a bunch of young guys being crass all the time, and like, that's a thing. But again, just warning you. So yeah, I gave this 4.75. Sorry that I rambled like a maniac about this, but I loved it. I did. And so I hope that you will give it a try. It was so exciting. I can't wait for more. Go check out Jenna. I'll link her channel down below. She has AuthorTube. She talks about her novel, as well as she gives some great writing tips and just industry tips as well. Super interesting. I binge watched her a couple days ago and it was really fun. But yeah, thanks for coming to check out this book review. I won't apologize for it being long because it was a spoiler review and it had other stuff. But thanks so much for stopping by, and have a wonderful day. Love you.